you said something interesting about how players in the fighting game field, they kind of have to become content creators if they want to even approach making it a full-time thing. And with the Capcom thing, obviously everyone is looking like, oh, hey, there's a $2 million prize pool. And already when that came out, people were saying, oh, Tekken has to step it up. MK has to step it up. Basically demanding that sort of other publishers. Do you think this could mean just a general shift in how FGC publishers see esports? Or maybe it's more of a marketing thing?
I can't imagine that Bandai Namco is gonna try and match that $2 million price pool, at least as far as Tekken goes. And like, you know, there's a discussion to be had here. Like, there are pros and cons to bringing that sort of, you know, natural reward or you know, like money effectively into fighting games. I mean, just the prior discussion, like, you know, to what lengths will people go to have a competitive advantage, right?
Oh, and just to add to this, I forgot to mention that people want more money in, and they want like higher price pools, but people don't usually discuss the revenue. Like everyone wants to see bigger price pools, but fighting games don't really have like big revenue sources.
Yeah, the money's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Like, you would hope that having that sort of prize pool would lead to a sort of like a trickle-down effect where there'd be more investment in fighting games as in general. More sponsors would be attracted to it. More sponsors to, you know, support pro players or commentators or creators or whatever, and that it would be a win-win for everyone. But that is sort of looking at it in a very optimistic sort of way, because there are obviously pitfalls that come with that sort of money as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. I obviously, like, in an idealistic world, you'd be like, oh, okay, they done 2 million. We need to pump in 2 million or something close. The companies could do it one time. I think all the companies can do it one time. After that, we're not particularly too sure. I was actually talking to someone yesterday about this. They said, talking to a friend 10 years ago, they said, oh yeah, fighting games are probably, they got no money. 10 years later, it's the other way around. It's like, now we got the big prize pool. You lot want to come over here, which is, it's kind of funny to see that. I think maybe, because the thing is, with what Capcom have done, it could be, I definitely think it's part of the marketing to get more eyes and attraction on the game, and obviously highlight the competitive aspect, because this year might be the biggest year for Street Fighter in terms of competitive gameplay, like ever, because of that prize pool. If they, I think, like, realistically, when you put out a number and say, yes, there's going to be like $50,000 on the line for this, if you're going to bring it back next year, you can't go any lower. You can't go lower than that. Like, you've just made a baseline. So then my question is, when the $2 million prize pool announcement came out, I'm like, is that your baseline? Because if you went lower, it's like, oh, like,
you say
that's gonna turn a couple of heads.
You said about the TWT prize pools did get low over the years.
I believe NRS did as well too.
Fair. Okay, fair. Okay, from that aspect then, because obviously my knowledge is very poor in both of those communities. So if they have done that, but the thing is, was it a significant amount or was it a small amount?
I can't remember exactly, but I do remember those conversations about, like, I don't think it was as drastic as half, but it was a pretty sizable chunk taken out, you know. Again, you know, like, you have to wonder, like, is this 2 million prize pool going to be just for the first year? I think, like, if they brought it down to, like, you know, $1 million for first and 500,000, just, or, you know, like, if they brought it down to half of that, like 500,000 first place, 500,000 for everyone else for the next year, I don't really see too many people complaining, because that's still a pretty damn bit of change, right? Pretty damn good hunk of chunk.
I think what some of the players have been saying, at least the ones that have been seriously competing, they said, look, instead of giving all the money to first place, distribute it amongst the finalists. Then it's like we're all technically eating. Okay, $1 million goes to first place. How do you know second place isn't going to get 700,000 of that? Then you got to split 300,000 between the next 20 odd players or whatever. And it's like, you can distribute it differently. I personally think it's all about the distribution. Yes, headlines, that'd be brilliant. Hadouken Hater 81 wins $1 million. Like that's a great headline. But then after that, it's like, what do you do? Now, if the prize pool did go down from 2 million to 500,000, you have to distribute. It's like, okay, significant drop. Maybe most of the guys probably won't complain because it's just like, well, I still get to compete for a relatively large sum of money. It's just that whoever wins this could technically retire. If they really wanted to, they could retire. But it's a very expensive marketing ploy. I'm down for it.
I mean, for me, more than anything, it's a massive statement of intent, right? Like, yeah, Capcom are really taking this seriously. They really want this to be a success, right? It is their esports cash cow, and they are throwing everything at it. In the same way that Bandai Namco is doing the same with Tekken 8, which is, it's exciting time to be a fighting game player for sure. And I guess we're just going to see over 2023 and 2024 whether they get a return on investment, you know? I think with Street Fighter 6, Capcom have done some pretty smart things to attract a new player base.
I was just going to say, I think it would be nice, especially for NetherRealm Studios, because they're not really able to have a, like, Mortal Kombat World Tour. Like, they're not able to do that because the game is still banned, like, in certain countries, unfortunately.
Yeah, Japan.
I think the last episode we discussed like the certain countries that they were abandoned and everything. I can't name them on the top of my head, unfortunately. Haven't had enough coffee today. But I will say, because NetherRealm Studios, like the tournaments that they are mainly at, whether it's EVO, CEO, Combo Breaker, it would be nice to be able to see a bigger prize pool, especially with the cost of traveling, with food, registration, merch, stuff like that. It would be nice to see even like someone like Warner Brothers to be able to kind of fund a little bit more money into the prize pool for not just Mortal Kombat, for even like Injustice tournaments, MKX, any like NetherRealm Studios type game would be absolutely amazing, especially with Mortal Kombat 12 on the horizon very, very soon, especially. And I know we're going to talk about that later with Ed Boon's tweets and the trailers and stuff that, or not trailers, but the one little snippet that we did and were able to see within like the past week or so. But no, it would be very refreshing to see, because I do have lots of friends that are pro players. And at Combo Breaker last year, Combo Breaker, it's in Illinois, and I had a friend fly in they flew in from Seattle, and I believe they got third place. To see them only win like $400 out of that prize pool at Combo Breaker is so. They told me that. They stopped in my stream and they told me that because we were discussing Combo Breaker, because I will actually be there with DashFight and we'll be doing some media coverage. But
awesome.
They told me that, and I was like, I like clutched my chest. I'm like, that is so. I wouldn't have even went at all. I just feel like it would just motivate players to just travel and actually make it worth going to the actual tournaments, and to not see like these multi-million-dollar companies have the resources and the revenue. Like it's I just feel like there's no excuse for them to not have a bigger prize pool, especially for NetherRealm Studios and Mortal Kombat and Injustice.
The thing is with NetherRealm is that they've always keenly realized that like the competitive players, the really hardcore players will play come rain or shine. So they've always put in a lot of effort into making their single player and their sort of more casual offerings really a spectacle. Like they basically made 2 movies with Mortal Kombat 11, like
exactly
good movies too, right?
The animated movies, actually the
I meant the ones in Mortal Kombat 11, like the story mode.
Yes.
Oh, you mean in the game? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, in the game. Yeah, that too.
I remember. Yeah.
I was thinking of like the previous Mortal Kombat film. I know that there's a second one coming out, as well as the animated films that they had. I think it's called Scorpion's Revenge, and they have another one after that too. But no, I 100% agree with the big production that Mortal Kombat 11 had, as well as animated films and the film adaptions that are like coming out now. I feel like there's just, especially just how big Warner Brothers is, I just feel like there's just no excuse for them to not be able to up the price pool for the players.
I think it makes a lot of sense for them to have, it won't be a world tour, but they can definitely at least have a European and American tour.
I agree.
North American,
I would love to
South
see that.
American.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Like, why couldn't you? You know, again, it's banned in most of in Asia, so yeah, that's unfortunate, but it is the way it is. But yeah, like I don't honestly be surprised if there wasn't something like that on the horizon for Mortal Kombat 12. But at the same time, like NetherRealms have never really been. Like, they've dabbled in the esports aspect of Mortal Kombat, but it's always been sort of presented as more of a... Like, Mortal Kombat's always been more of a, like,
in-house thing?
Well, yeah, like the focus of the package has always been, like... A lot of it has been on casual players. Like I said, they literally made a whole-ass movie for Mortal Kombat 11 twice, right? In-game, and they're good. Like they got like Hollywood actors to come back and like professional choreography, and they look great. And like Rambo's in there, and RoboCop's in there, and Terminator's in there, and that's the stuff that like turns heads for casual players. And of course, Warner Brothers with their license, you know, that's a hand in glove fit.
I hate to be that guy, but I'm just like, look, this is why we can't have nice things. Legit. Like, look, there's an open beta coming for Street Fighter 6 in like 9 days time or something. People are like, oh, it's the same 8 characters again. I was like, you fool. Do you like when did you get so entitled that can you not see what's been going on? You're like, yeah, I hope the beta allows us to play it. No, it's not going to do that. Like, use your head just for a second.